Hello everyone and welcome back to Comic Book Review Thursdays. Today I've got two more volumes of The Walking Dead collected. There's 6 issues in each of these collected volumes. So here is number 3, Safety Behind Bars. Got some zombies and it shows Rick looking at the prison there. Now I'm kind of cheating. I am doing this before Thursday. I'm not going to upload it till Thursday because I've got scheduled. I've got a pretty heavy schedule this week, and so I'm doing pretty much all my recordings today. Today is Monday, so I'm going to have everything recorded for everybody, so that way I can have them uploaded. I just got to upload them on the right days. So this being the Thursdays, it'll be uploaded on Thursday. So let's get right on into it. It starts things off where they come to the prison, the whole entire group, and I found out some of the names of the other characters that I had forgotten. So I'm going to go through the list of characters. We got Rick and Lori and Carl, of course. We've got Carol and Sophia. We've got Tyrese and his daughter and her boyfriend. We've got Alan, his wife, and their 2 children. I don't remember if they were in the show or not. If they were, they weren't with them for very long. But they stay with the group for quite a while in this. And I think that's everybody that shows up at the prison at the start of this issue. So they all show up. They clear out the courtyard, like the main, like where all the grass is and stuff. They clear that out and they camp overnight and they get ready for the next day when they're going to go in and they're going to clear out a cell block to stay. Let me see. So they clear out a cell block and they stumble upon some prisoners like they did in the show. And they kind of sit there. They ask them what they were in prison for, and some guy says he was a murderer. Another one says tax evasion. One says drug dealing, and the other one, I think he was carrying an unlicensed firearm, so he got sent to jail for it. So the little backstory for them: tax fraud, armed robbery, drugs, and murder. So yeah, it wasn't. So that's what they're in for. So the one that they really feel like they have to watch out for is the guy who says he's a murderer. So they kind of keep their eye on him, but they kind of say, all right, you guys are free to roam, which right away is a huge mistake right off the bat. Where in the show, they told him, we'll clear out a cell block for you, you're not staying with us. In this, they don't do that. Rick goes back to the farm where Herschel is, and he gets everybody that's at the farm. Herschel, Glenn and Maggie, Herschel's 2 other kids, Patricia, Otis, and I think that's everybody that was there. He brings them back. He says, we found a prison. It'll be a lot more safe if you guys come with us. And Herschel agrees, and they go with them. So once they're all back, it's pretty late. Everybody goes to bed. And Tyrese's daughter and her boyfriend stay up. And they decide that they're going to make a pact to kill each other because they don't want to be in this world anymore. And Rick, in the middle of the night, everybody hears a shot. And everybody gets up, so Rick goes to investigate. He tells everybody to stay where they are. And when he finds out what happened, Tyrese has already beat him to where the noise came from. And Tyrese is holding his dead daughter in his hands right there. And the boyfriend is still alive. He didn't die. I don't think he even got shot. And so he's freaking out. And then she comes back to life as a zombie and tries biting Tyrese. And that's where Rick's kind of like, whoa, what's going on here? She shouldn't have turned. She wasn't bit. And they quickly put her down. And Tyrese then loses it and kills the boyfriend. So Tyrese stays back with the two bodies. He tells Rick that he's gonna go and burn the bodies. He tells Rick to go and make sure everybody stays away, and he does. He goes back and he tells everybody to go to bed, and explains what happened and that Tyrese just needs some time alone. And Rick lays down, but he can't sleep. The next day he wakes up pretty early, and Tyrese has already taken care of the bodies, and Rick leaves. Rick's like, I need to go check something out. I will be back in a few days, and he leaves. Now, where Rick is going, I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead a few pages. Rick goes back and finds and digs up Shane, and he finds Shane still very much alive in the sense of as being a zombie and alive, right here on that page right there. He dug him up. There's the zombified Shane in the next panel next to this one, and he takes care of Shane, so that way he's not a zombie anymore, and he heads back. Meanwhile, there's quite a bit of activity going on at the prison. They're kind of doing some chores. They're taking care of things. They're starting to plan how they're going to farm after they take care of a majority of the dead bodies. And then a group of a few, led by Tyrese, they go to clear out another cell block. And in the midst of doing this, Tyrese gets surrounded, and they can't get to him, so they all have to retreat and leave Tyrese in there with all the zombies. And so they lock it up. Tyrese is stuck in there with zombies, and they're all feeling pretty bad. And they're about ready to feel pretty shitty because, let's see, Herschel, I couldn't think of his name, I'm sorry, goes out looking for the two younger children, his two daughters, and he finds them decapitated right there. And of course he's pretty freaked out by this notion, and he is hysterical and crying, and so everybody, Glenn and Maggie find him, and then they go back and they tell everybody the girls got murdered. The two daughters of Herschel, the two younger daughters, they were murdered. And at this point, they jump to conclusions, and they think that the guy who's in there for murder is the one who killed the two girls. So they go back to his prison cell. They don't know what to do with him, so they just lock him up. And so as the day winds down, they're all kind of sitting around talking about what happened with Tyrese and with the two girls being murdered. And it's there we find Rick and Lori and Carol talking about it. And at this point, we kind of find something that's not quite right about Carol. Right here, we see Carol, or right there, we see Carol trying to kiss Lori. And she kind of chops it up. Sorry, I've been through a lot. I wasn't thinking about it. And they kind of leave it at that. So the next day, Rick shows up. Glenn is the first one to let him into the prison. And he tells Rick about Tyrese. And how Tyrese got locked up in a different cell block surrounded by zombies. And Rick's like, did you see him die? And of course, they say no, he was surrounded, but we had to lock it up because more zombies were coming after us. So they go back to the cell block, and they find Tyrese fine, sitting on the ground, dead zombies everywhere. Tyrese is a badass, for sure. And so now that Tyrese is fine, they finally tell Rick, hey, you know that guy who said he's in here for murder? Well, he murdered the girls, Herschel's two youngest daughters. And he goes to confront said inmate about it, and he doesn't get nowhere with it. The guy pretty much says, I didn't do it, you're all freaking crazy if you think I did. I mean, it's not much of a stretch for him to think that he did it, so I don't know why he'd say they're crazy for thinking it. Anyways, Rick goes to Tyrese, and he's like, what do you think we should do about it? He's saying he's not confessing, and Tyrese says, I don't know what we should do. So then it goes to Andrea. She is in doing laundry. She has kind of started making clothing out of the torn up, ripped clothing that they have, making better clothing for everybody. She's really the only one who has that kind of skill set, so that's what she says she's going to do for everybody. And then the inmate who said he was in there for tax evasion, tax fraud, there he is, holding a knife, going after Andrea. Now, the other guy who said he was the murderer, he's locked up in a cell. So, they get into a scuff, they start fighting, and it goes directly to another page where Rick is talking to Lori. He feels awful about what happened. He feels like he could have protected the girls if he was there. And then the guy who was originally accused of the murders is let out by the other inmate, this curly head guy, if you can see him right there in the bottom. Oh, right. I don't know where my hands are. You see this? Right there. That guy. This guy. Over here. This one. That guy. Okay? Now that I figured out how my freaking hands work. He lets that guy go. He unlocks him. Everybody's outside kind of doing their thing, and Tyrese is in the cell block kind of cleaning up, and Carol shows up to help him. And at this point, you see Carol and Tyrese engaging in a relationship. So now we're getting back to Andrea. Andrea comes back. She's got a huge cut on the side of her face, and the guy is chasing her down, trying to finish her off. Everybody is like, holy crap, they start running over there. Rick, of course, is the first one to get to the guy, and he proceeds to beat this guy to a bloody pulp, and everybody around, and he finally stops beating the crap out of him. Everybody around him is kind of standing behind him, looking at this guy. And that's pretty much it for this issue, this volume. They just trying to decide what to do with him. Rick says, we're going to hang this guy. Everybody's emotional. They finally found out who did this. Andrea gets her face stitched back up. What's going on here? I don't know. Nothing that's really important to the story. Alright, so now Patricia. She is Otis's wife. In this story, they kind of show that Patricia and Otis, they don't get along very well. And for some reason, Patricia is attracted to this inmate who tried to kill everybody. Who tried to kill Andrea, and who killed Herschel's two youngest daughters. And so she goes in there to talk to him, and of course the guy freaks out and tries to escape. And he does. He starts running away, and everybody's like, everybody can hear this, so everybody runs over, and they're telling him, stop, stop. And Maggie comes up behind him and shoots him. Of course, she does it because of her two sisters that he killed. So at the very end of this volume, the murderer guy, the curly-headed guy let free from his prison cell, comes up to Rick and tells him to get the hell out of here. Get the fuck out of my house, as you can see down there in the bottom. He's planning on taking back the prison. And that is the end of Volume 3, and that leads us into Volume 4, The Heart's Desire. Now, this one is a pretty cool one, because if you're a Michonne fans, this is the first volume that Michonne shows up, Volume 4. there is Michonne with her pets. So, of course, everybody's out in the courtyard, and the two prison inmates, they're trying to take back the prison and kick everybody out. And what happens? Somehow zombies break in. Oh, the guy... Hang on. Hang on here. Zombies get into the courtyard somehow, and it's not showing me how they did. Yeah, it's not showing me. But they get into the courtyard, so amongst all the chaos and everything, they're killing all the zombies. Rick goes ahead and kills the guy who's trying to get everybody out of the prison. Rick shoots him right in the head. And the only person who notices this is Tyrese. And the guy who had let the murderous inmate out starts freaking out, and they have to kill him too, pretty much. So, in the midst of all this, we see Michonne, and she's outside the prison, and that's when they notice her, and they kind of invite her in, but she's not allowed to bring her pets, and so she cuts the heads off of the pets. So yeah, pretty much it's the beginning where Michonne first shows up. Michonne and Tyrese, this is the first time they meet, and you kind of see like a kind of a connection right away between the two of them. And Herschel starts making a garden of sorts to start making crops. They go and they check out the generators, I do believe, in this. Let me look. Yeah, they check out the generators, and it's there. They find Alan has been bitten by a zombie on his leg. And this is their first attempt of trying to save somebody who's been bitten, and they cut Alan's leg off. Just above where he got bitten. Try rushing through this. So now we get to see some more between Tyrese and Michonne. Michonne makes a move on Tyrese. Tyrese doesn't try and stop her, and Carol witnesses this whole thing. They think they're alone, but Carol has watched the whole thing. And it goes to another page or so where Michonne and Andrea have some dialogue between the two of them, and Andrea does not trust Michonne at all yet. Tyrese is still playing on as he is in this relationship with Carol, and he wakes up in the middle of the night to Carol crying, and he asks her what's wrong. He won't say, so he just kind of comforts her. But, of course, she's crying because she saw Tyrese and Michonne together earlier that day. So, right now, the only one that they can trust was Axel. And they have Axel helping out and doing chores and things like that. And now, Rick is going around kind of checking out everything, checking up on everybody, and he finds Carol in her cell with Sophia watching, and Carol had slit her wrists. And, of course, he's like, oh, God, why did she do this? And then he goes and finds Tyrese, and Tyrese is with Michonne, and they are in the midst of making out. And Rick starts freaking out and saying, how could you do this to her? She must have known. She tried to slit her wrists. And Rick and Tyrese get into a fight. They duke it out pretty hardcore. I mean, it starts... Where does it start? The arguing starts on one page, and then the next page they start fighting. And this fight lasts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 pages this fight lasts. So it's a pretty hefty fight. It's pretty cool, and it ends where Tyrese hits Rick really hard, and he falls off the second story of the prison cell blocks. And Rick, of course, he doesn't die from this, but he did hit him. He did hit himself pretty hard. Oh, it even goes to the next page where Rick gets one good shot in on Tyrese. So it's a pretty hefty fight. It takes quite a few pages to finish up. Let me flip back to another page. Hang on. There was one page where it took up right here, where Tyrese just slams his fist into Rick. It takes up the whole page. It's pretty cool shot right there. So they just get in this huge scuffle, this huge fist fight, and everybody is like watching this. And now Andrea comes up and she tells everybody Alan died. He did not survive his leg being cut off. So everybody's upset about that. Rick has to go shoot Alan in the head because he's going to come back as a zombie. And then Rick collapses from the fight. He wakes up and Carol is sitting by his bedside and she thanks him for what he did. And then she makes her move on Rick. Right there. And he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, I heard what you did for me. I just wanted to thank you. And he says it's nothing. And I think they both agree not to tell Lori about it. But he tells her, like, don't do that again. And it's here, Dale comes to Rick and tells him that Rick's not going to be the leader no more. They're gonna kind of make decisions as a group and not have Rick making all the decisions by himself. And that's pretty much it for this issue. Other than this really cool full pager. Rick says we are the Walking Dead. Like, pretty much he just comes out to make a speech about why he should be the leader, why and they shouldn't be making him not the leader anymore. And that's where he comes out and he tells everybody that no matter what they do, if they die, they're going to come back as a zombie. Because right at that point, Rick's the only one that knows. He went back to Shane's grave and saw him come back as a zombie. He watched as Tyrese's daughter came back as a zombie. That's where he first had the idea. So as things, like as I kind of talked through all this, there are some similarities, but like in these issues right here, this is where things really start to break off from what happens in the show. And the things that happen in the show from now on that are similar to what happened in the comic books, they're just kind of nods at what happened, but really, these are their own stories of themselves. There's these characters who are either dead in the show, or their personalities are completely different, and it's really cool. That's why I love reading these comic books, is because it doesn't spoil the show for me. I don't think I would read them as much and still enjoy the show if they were like that. They're just so much different from the pages of these comics to the actual scenes in the show. So I'm gonna continue reviewing these. Next Thursday we'll go ahead and do volumes 5 and 6, and I think in one of those volumes the governor finally shows up, so I'll be able to talk about how the governor is very different from his TV persona, who is played by David Morrissey. And I thought David Morrissey, he did an awesome job as the governor, but as far as how insane and how messed up the governor is, for a TV show that is on just regular cable on AMC, they couldn't have shown how messed up the governor really is. They really needed a a show like Game of Thrones where it's on HBO or Cinemax or Showtime. Maybe Cinemax. I know Cinemax, they deal with a lot more like graphic nudity, or not graphic nudity, but like nudity and things like that. If you've ever seen the show Banshee, that's one of my favorite shows on Cinemax, and it's very violent. It has a lot of nudity in it, and it's a pretty cool show. If you ever seen it, maybe I'll do a review for it. I have the first season of it on DVD. Maybe I'll do a review for that. But for now, I'm gonna have to go ahead and close up. This has been reviews of Walking Dead Volume 3 and then Volume 4. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button for me. That always helps me out. And go ahead and subscribe to my channel so that way the following Thursday you will know exactly when the next Comic Book Thursday review comes out, and you'll be able to watch my review of these here comics. And as for giving it an actual score, I'm going to wait until I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to give it a score. I don't think for comic books I'm going to be giving these any scores. I might give movies and TV shows. No, not TV shows, because TV shows are kind of hard. Unless it's already been completed, like Breaking Bad or Spartacus or something. I'm not going to actually give these a rating. I'm just going to kind of talk about them, and for the most part, I think I come off as enough where I'm like, I really enjoy these. I think they're really cool. I wouldn't be reading them and I wouldn't be reviewing them if I didn't think they were any good. So take it as that, and if you want, you can go ahead and pick these up and read them in further detail. Me, I'm not diving into everything. I'm just kind of giving you some of the major plot points and things like that. I'm flipping through the pages, and I want to be able to share different artwork with all of you. And just let me know what you guys think. If you think this is pretty cool, or if you just think I'm completely boring sitting up here and flipping through it and not really engaging with the camera and whatnot. I mean, I think I'm doing a pretty good job. I think it's cool showing all this different artwork and talking about the storylines, and it's cool. Right now, I kind of find these as kind of boring. Once we get into like some main antagonists, like the governor and Negan, I'm gonna get into more depth about how much I like these characters. And once Carl starts going through his transformation of being a total badass, I'm gonna go into depth more about how Carl is a total badass. So, I already went through the subscribe and everything, so I'll see you guys all next time.